Okay, it's all yours, Eric.
All right. So can everybody see my screen okay?
Yes.
Awesome. Cool. Well, thank you again for the opportunity to present today. I'm going to, if I can find where it is, I'm going to shut my video off so I stop staring at myself. So I've got a handful of slides, and then we'll do a quick demo on what Mowgli actually looks like. And then if anybody has questions, we'll take those as we move along. So again, I'm Eric Dreshfield. I'm product evangelist here at Mowgli. Mowgli is a Salesforce.org partner, a member of the Pledge 1% program, as well as a Salesforce ISV partner. So how did Mowgli really get started? Back in 2012, the founder of Mowgli was working with an organization called Nuru International to figure out a way to help Kenyan farmers better
Eric, you
protect
see your desktop. Oh, sorry for interruption. Is this what you want to show?
Oh, yep. Sorry. Wrong screen. There we go. Is that better?
Yep.
Better.
Awesome. Thank you. Appreciate it. So anyway, so Mowgli got started back in 2012. Our founder was working with an organization called Nuru International to help them figure out a way to communicate with rural Kenyan farmers to better enable them to protect their crops from diseases. And what came out of that, because these farmers were living in very rural conditions in mud huts with very limited access to electricity, they all had flip phones and enough electricity access to basically charge those phones. So what Stephen, our founder, ended up building back then was a one-way messaging app that allowed Nuru International to push text messages out to these cell phones of these rural farmers to say, hey, there's a crop issue going on. Here's what you need to do to protect your crops from disease, or there's some significant weather coming up. Here's what you need to do, those types of things. And since that time, over the years, since 2012, Mowgli has kind of transformed itself into a really powerful tool that can handle two-way messaging, surveys. Because it's native to Salesforce, you can utilize any of the capabilities of Salesforce natively, like flows, to build automations based upon responses to surveys and questions and things that come through text messages. Our clients today use it for individual and bulk messaging, for surveys, for notifications and reminders, even things like automated conversations, or what some people would call chatbots. We have a functionality that works very similar to that as well. So why text messaging as opposed to email? Well, if you think about it, at least here in the US, about 97 or 98% of everybody has a phone sitting on their desk, a cell phone of some sort. More than likely, it's a smartphone these days, rather than just the old style flip phones. And everybody uses a text messaging app at some point in time in their day. And the real advantage to texting over emailing is the response rates and the open rates are roughly 7 times better than traditional emails. So text messages, about 98% of them generally get opened, and about 45 to 50% generally get responded to. And that response rate usually takes place anywhere between about 15 to 20 seconds and 3 minutes. So super fast, super high response rates, lots and lots of performance, and great conversations you can have because of that.
Can I ask a question, Eric, before I
Absolutely.
take off here? Just a second. I have to let somebody in. Okay. My question was, it's like, for example, an approval process where you typically send an email to the person to approve the process or whatever. Can you set it up so that people get either a text message or an email, or both? Or can it be used for that type of application?
Yeah, absolutely. It could be utilized for that, certainly.
Okay, that's all I want to know.
Mowgli operates on any object, custom or standard. The only thing that you need is a phone number to be able to contact the individuals through for texting. So it has hundreds and hundreds of use cases, and that's a perfect example of one, what you just brought up. So some of the other use cases you see on the screen here, surveys and forms is a pretty interesting one that we have where you can literally have questions that you ask people, and I'll demonstrate this one in just a little bit. Automated reminders and things like that. But I think the really powerful aspect of what is the benefit of using text messaging through Mowgli is simply because it's native to Salesforce. You have all the capabilities of Salesforce at your disposal, whether that's reports and dashboards for taking a look at the conversations or responses from surveys, and the ability to automate what happens based upon certain responses and sending individuals down a certain path, if you will, based upon how they respond to the questions you're asking them. And we do have a WhatsApp integration as well, so international customers can still see the same kinds of benefits using WhatsApp as opposed to SMS texting like we have here in the US primarily. Some of our customers and clients you see on the screen here, lots of higher education, lots of nonprofits. That's about 55–60% of our business right now comes from those two spaces. We do have a fair number of commercial customers as well, and that seems to be growing. You notice Salesforce is one of our customers. They have used Mowgli for about 3 years or 4 years now, just to do some internal polling and surveying as well. Mowgli has been award-winning, lots of demo jams we have won over the years, primarily on the strength of our VP of Client Success, Mallory. She's the one down here in the gold hat. She was a professional musician before joining the tech world and coming to Mowgli. So the Mowgli demo jams are Mallory doing a rap and Rob, the guy with the headphones here, actually driving the demo. And so Mallory is rapping and singing about what you see on the screen and the things you can do with Mowgli inside Salesforce. Super fun, super engaging. When we actually just this week added one more trophy to our shelf by winning the Education Summit Demo Jam this year. So pretty exciting stuff. It's always fun to watch the Mowgli demo. And that's it. That's my slides. So we'll move on and show you what Mowgli really looks like, and give you all an opportunity to try it out for yourself if you want as well. So let me get this out of the way. There we go. All right. There. Okay, so now what you see on the screen on the left-hand half, you see I'm sitting on a contact record, and you also see the Mowgli widget here with the black and red highlights. And then on the right-hand half of the screen, that's simply Google Voice, so that I can simulate a text message conversation and you can see both sides of the conversation. So the important thing, as I mentioned a little bit ago, what we have to have for everybody is a phone number. And here on the contact record, you see we have a mobile number. And right below that, you see we have what we call a Mowgli number. And if you look at them very closely, they're the same. It's simply with the parentheses and the dashes stripped out and then the country code added. And the Mowgli number becomes our key piece of information to identify who these conversations are going on with. Normally that's a hidden field, but for purposes of the demonstration, we expose it so you can see it. There's a flow that runs behind the scenes. Once this mobile number gets put in, the Mowgli number automatically gets created. And that becomes, like I said, the key field for this conversation. The next important piece here is this opt-out checkbox right below there. Obviously, you need to have people's permissions to have text message conversations with them, very similar to sending emails. There are spam laws and things like that that you have to be aware of. So make sure that you can get opt-ins from individuals. That can happen in a number of ways. You can simply do a presentation where you say something like, for more information, text this particular code to this number. And then when they text in, then the first thing that we generally recommend is that your first response be something along the lines of, by saying yes to this text message, you're opting in to receiving X number of messages from us over the course of a month, or something along those lines. You're asking them for permission to continue to text with them, basically. Again, you can opt out manually. You can have them opt out by keywords like stop or opt out, and that will trigger this checkbox to get checked so that Mowgli knows you can't send them a text. just so you just can see what happens when somebody does opt out. I'll go ahead and check the box and save this record. And what you're going to discover in here now is on the right-hand side of the screen, we get this message that says this record is opted out of SMS messages. And I can't even click on this message to send field or any of these other fields over here. So there's no way of accidentally sending someone who's opted out a message. So you're protected because of that. So now for purposes of demo, it's hard to demonstrate this if they're opted out. So we're going to turn them back on. There we go. And there are several ways that you can send somebody a text message. You can certainly just type in a message, hit send, and you see it pop up here in the Mowgli widget that we've sent it. And then it just popped up over here on the Google Voice side of things. And obviously, if the person is interested in talking back to you, having a conversation, they can say whatever they want, and the same thing will happen. We'll see it come back in on the Mowgli side right here shortly. There it is. And so that's super simple one-on-one texting. You can have a conversation, you can freeform text, do whatever you want there, and it's easy. We do have the ability to schedule text messages. You can pick a date, you can pick a time, and pre-schedule these messages. So you can text somebody, you can send somebody a message tomorrow at 3 p.m., set it up today, you don't have to worry about it. It'll go out automatically. We also have the ability in here to use merge fields from directly in Salesforce. So on this contact record, I now am asking this person, hi, first name, is your email still email? Let's just confirm their email address, right? So we can do that. You hit send, and obviously it's going to grab that information, and you're going to see, hi, Eric, is your email still eric.dreshfield@gmail.com? That's correct. That's my email, my personal one, of course. So Eric over here in Google Voice is going to respond back. And just because he's in a hurry, he's simply just going to type a Y. You and I know Y equals yes, right? Generally speaking, Mowgli will understand that. And actually, I can't demonstrate that just now because this was just simply a question. We'll get back to that one in a second. I'm jumping ahead of myself here. So anyway, that's kind of the very basics of the one-on-one text messaging right there. You can use templates, you can use merge fields, you can schedule things, you can include pictures, you can include small PDF files through this upload files piece here, and it will still send them, and the same thing happens. So moving on from there, oh, I gotta scoot my Zoom controls out of the way so I can see what's going on. There we go. So moving on from there, let's take a peek at what happens. Oh, one thing I didn't mention that I forgot here. This Mowgli widget, you see there's black and there's red pieces of this conversation. The color coding indicates whether it's us talking or the client. Everything that we have sent is the red background and the white text. Everything the individual you're texting with sends back in is the black with the white. Because you can have multiple individuals at your organization texting with the same person, you do have the ability to customize the bubble colors here and the text colors. So for example, if there's 3 people at your organization that could potentially have the conversation with the same client, you could change the color on each individual so that when you look at the screen here, you'll see that my conversation with this person is red, Fred's may be green with white text, Sally's might be blue with yellow text. So from the Mowgli side of things, it's easy to understand who's having a conversation with your particular client. From your client side of the thing, they won't know any different. They'll still just see the same text messages and the same thing going on. So moving on from there, this widget here holds the last 300 pieces of the conversation. Mowgli stores the entire conversation history in a custom object that we call SMS. And here you can see the full breadth of the conversation. the ingoing messages, the outgoing messages, where are the numbers, the phone numbers that we were using within Mowgli to have the conversations with. You can see the questions that we asked. You can see the answers that the individuals gave us, the whole history of all the conversations stored right here. And that's the powerful piece of it, because then you can do reporting and analytics right off of this object and understand what kind of conversations are going on. You can build all these amazing dashboards and reports that say, hey, if we're doing a customer success survey, for example, how do you rate your experience with Mowgli? You can see that 80 people give us a 5, 43 said a 4, 21 people were super not happy with us and gave us a 1, and all of these things within the reporting. So in addition to the one-on-one conversations, we have the ability to have conversations personalized because of merge fields with hundreds of and thousands of people at the same time in reality. And that's generally based off of lists, views, reports, or campaigns. So we're going to quickly search for a campaign here. And that's not working. Searching for something that didn't exist. Here we go. We're going to pull up this 1000 test contacts campaign. And what you see is it pre-selected, pre-filled in over here, our phone numbers for all these 1000 individuals we want to have this conversation with. It actually tells us there's 200 displayed. There's a total of 1000. And the warning here in the orange says you've selected more than 100 recipients. Due to carrier restrictions, we recommend you use what we call an intelligent route, a short code, or a toll-free gateway. Because of spamming, that's what we do here. You have the ability to not select a standard 10-digit phone number to do your text messaging from. The downside to that would be if you sent a text message to roughly 100 or 150 people, so Verizon, AT&T, whoever your cell phone carrier is going to grab a hold of that conversation, and they're going to think you're spamming people because you're sending the same message out to hundreds of people. They're going to flag your number as someone who sends spam. You're not going to see delivering of your messages. Your clients, your customers won't know you're talking to them because the carrier will block it. So because of that, we have this ability to select those short codes, the toll-free numbers, the high throughput toll-free numbers that work properly with the text messaging in those bulk capabilities. So we still have, with the bulk capabilities, you still have the same ability to freeform your text and send the messages. You can still, again, use templates to do that from. Let's see, like that email template. Where did that one go? I don't see it on the screen. I'm probably staring right at it and don't see it. But anyway, you can pick a template to send out. It'll grab merge fields, and when you hit send, it'll go to every single one of the people. The numbers that are listed up here. It'll be personalized, of course, based upon the merge fields. Now, I'm not going to send this just because this is a test case. It just kind of demonstrates what bulk messaging can look like here. And then the other piece of this that I want to showcase is our survey functionality. And for that, I'm going to just jump back here to our contact record. And in this case, we have the ability, I got to pull my other thing on the screen for a quick second. Where'd it go? There it is. So if I just move forward one little slide here, this is where you all can try this if you really want to. We're going to grab a hold of this. We're going to text the word customer in to the phone number on there and just see what happens and watch our survey functionality. So go out here to Google Voice, and I am this individual who just simply is texting the word customer into the number that was on the screen. That's going to launch our survey functionality. And what we'll see hopefully here any second is the response back from Mowgli. Thanks for contacting Mowgli today. On a scale of 1 terrible to 5 amazing, how would your rate our experience? So now what you can see here is the individual can choose their response. You've suggested a range 1 to 5. We're going to say service was awesome today. I'm going to give them a 5. So what's going to happen here? We'll see a response coming in. Now, say you're the individual on the other side of the survey, on the other side of these conversations. You're busy working in Salesforce, you're doing something else. Say you're looking at a dashboard, for example, or working on building a new one, and that response comes in. How do you know someone's talking to you, right? You don't, you may not understand, you may not know where to look for conversations. So the question that Mowgli just asked this individual is, was the representative able to resolve your issue? Reply yes or no. So here's the feature I wanted to demonstrate a few minutes ago that didn't work in the personalized one-on-one conversation where I was just typing things. But here, Mowgli has the ability to build in what we call business intelligence into responses. So even though on the screen it says reply yes or no, if somebody simply replies with a Y, or they like the word yep instead of yes, for example, Mowgli's going to respond appropriately, still send them down that positive path as opposed to the negative path. You can certainly configure this to use emojis, the thumbs up sign, a smiley face. You can send those, you can create those so that Mowgli understands that's a positive response as well. So now you see the response here. Great news. What else can we do to improve your experience in the future? The one thing that didn't happen that I was expecting when that text came in from the customer, I was expecting to hear an audible chime, which didn't happen for some reason, but you do notice this Mowgli notifications bar down here in the lower left corner is now blinking. That's telling me as the person on the other end, oh, somebody that I've been having a conversation with has responded. So there's my cue that I need to go see what's going on with this conversation. Now I could manipulate my way back to the contact record, try to find the person I'm talking to. I may take a while to figure that out, or I can just simply click on this notifications bar. And it opens up the box where you see the responses coming in. I click on that, takes me right back into the contact record, right to the conversation where I'm at. So this person's now going to say, what else can we do to improve your experience? He's just going to say nothing. There'll be one more message that comes across. It's like a thank you for participating. And we threw in here's a 15% off your next purchase kind of message. And that's the basics of Mowgli. Survey functionality, bulk messaging, individual one-on-one conversations. We do have a new functionality, a new feature that we're just starting to roll out. It's currently, I think, still in beta. And that's kind of like an inbox looking piece where you can see all of your conversations at one time. Obviously, I'm only showing one because I've only had one in the demo org here right now. But from this particular view, if there were multiple conversations with multiple people, you'd see many entries here. You could just simply click on it. And again, it takes you right back to the conversation where you were. And that's about it. That's the quick and dirty demo of Mowgli and kind of what I wanted to showcase. So anybody have questions? I see some activity in the chat window. Let me take a peek there and see if there's any questions Mowgli related. It doesn't look like it at the moment.
Actually, Eric, I had a question.
Absolutely.
First of all, that's so cool to see this kind of functionality in Salesforce itself. On the slide it mentioned Pardot integration. Is that through like inserting a particular link, or how does that work?
We have what we call a Pardot connector. I'm honestly not extremely familiar with how that process works yet on the Pardot side of things, but I can certainly try to get you some more information, Fred, and let you know how that functions and dive into that a little bit more.
Sure. I know if we end up sharing information with customers, then that's sometimes the kind of thing where we want to track. But maybe it's based on where we direct them to from there. But it'll be, yeah, if you could share it, send something to me, that'd be great.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll track down some details for you on that. Cool. So, yep. So some of our bigger use cases, like the universities, for example, one of our universities that's been a long time customer of ours, they originally were doing They would hold events, for example, and they would have people who attended those events fill out 3x5 cards. Give us your name, your email address, the program you're interested in, those types of information. And then they would take those 3x5 cards back to their office, hand key all the data. You can't read somebody's handwriting. Sometimes you may misspell something when you're typing it in. And so the information you gathered was kind of useless. We converted that to a form and a survey utilizing Mowgli, and they saw an immediate 95% jump in response rates and in accuracy of data and in engagement with their students. Some of the commercial cases we've seen coming on board most recently are law firms using Mowgli and the survey functionality for intake. Have you been in an accident? Text the word wreck to this particular number, and it launches that same type of survey. Tell us your name, tell us your email, tell us what happened, that type of thing. And behind the scenes, depending on how they answer, we can trigger a flow that says, if they were in a car accident, send this message over to attorney named John, let John have a phone call conversation with them to finish the intake and figure out who they want to sue and for how much, and whatever's involved with that type of stuff. Those are kind of the biggest use cases that we see is those opening engagement type of gathering some simple information and then furthering a conversation outside of Mowgli. But it's a really interesting product and tons of use cases beyond that. Universities use it for, most recently we've seen a lot of universities using it for communications to students about COVID. Remember to wear your mask when you go to class. Simple things like that even. And because everybody has a phone, the students, my virtual background hides my phone. Students are on their phones all the time, right? So sending them a text is pretty easy. And they're gonna at least read it. One of my colleagues once told me the big difference between text messages and emails is people get text messages, but they have to open emails. So it's like we're saving a step almost. When you see your text message, it's all right there. From a billing perspective, from a licensing perspective, Mowgli offers unlimited user licenses. So anybody in your Salesforce instance can utilize Mowgli. There's no per person charge on the Mowgli. It's a flat rate per month for whatever package you choose. Pricing's all right out on our website, mowgli.com/pricing. We have 4 different levels of packages that vary in the availability of features, the availability of the number of phone numbers you can text from, and other things like that. We do offer discounts for nonprofits as well. There's a page out on our website, mowgli.com/NP pricing for the nonprofit pricing. Again, very transparent on our pricing and our features right on the website. Easy to find. And that's it. Anybody else have other questions?
Hey, Eric. Yeah, great presentation. This is very interesting tool. Question here, maybe I missed when you talk. All this kind of message back forth with customer. How do you log them? Where?
Yep, that's all stored in a custom object in Salesforce where you can see the full conversation.
Right.
It's tied to the phone number, obviously. The demonstration piece that maybe you missed was showing that off through a contact record where you can see the individual conversation on that contact record, the most recent 300 pieces, but then the full conversation is stored in the other object.
Okay, cool. And sounds like this is great too. Also for the field service industry, they are reps on the go all the time.
Yeah, absolutely. And it is very compatible and works well through Salesforce Mobile. So you can actually do it from your phone through the Salesforce mobile app as well. You don't necessarily have to be tied to a desk or a laptop when you're doing that either.
Yeah, exactly. Cool.
Great questions. Thank you.
Eric, I had a follow-up question that
Sure.
might be what you was asking about. There's a record for every single not just the thread, but every single message, every single message. What about hitting limits with that, or how that affects memory, because it creates a record for every single one.
Yeah, that potentially could be an issue, depending on the limits within your org, because of that. But it's just like any other object that you run into, you may encounter limits at some point in time. Yep.
I think in smaller orgs, they don't really care. They never hit the limits. So.
Right. All
Yeah,
right.
maybe could be like some like a cloud storage for this all information. It's just a reference in Salesforce.
That's a possibility. True.
Yeah.
Sure.
Or you could have some sort of archiving policy if it was an issue.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That certainly would alleviate it too.
Yeah.
All right. Well, if anybody comes up with questions later on, feel free to email me. I'm throwing my email address in the chat window at the moment. It's just eric@mogli.com.
Yeah.
If you want to see a more extensive demo at some point in time, feel free to email me as well, and we'll get you set up and showcase what you need and see where it goes.
Yeah, for sure. And we will share the information and also your contact information in the community. Yeah, for sure.
Yep.
Great.
It was very helpful. Thank you, Eric.
Sure. Thanks, Fred. I appreciate it.
Thank you very
Appreciate the
much.
opportunity as well.
Okay. Yeah, so let me share my slides here with you. Okay, so this is just some like administration stuff for planning for the next few months, and we have some attended like some date we maybe vary for next month. We haven't decided yet, depending on the speaker and also the timing. We are still like we currently have one topic on some free tool has been developed on App Exchange. Hopefully something interesting we can learn and something we can use like work-wise. I'm also currently looking for a second speaker, or if not, like I will probably speak some like a new license, some new like Spring 22 release feature as well, like use the time to just social with everybody next time. So for June will be our last meeting for the first half of the year. We will take a break in July and August as usual. So yeah, so we will announce. We will definitely remind everyone coming up for the next meeting. So that is pretty much it. If anyone has any question about the presentation for today, feel free to reach out to us. We will share all the recording and the slides and the contact information in the community group. Yeah. Okay, I will save. I will. We have like 30 minutes. Yeah, short, cool. If no other questions, we will call it today. And thank you everyone for joining. And yeah, have a happy Friday and have a good weekend.
Thanks, everybody.
Good to see everyone.
Good to see
Perfect.
you.
Thanks so much.
Yeah, bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks.